could they then spread that to people? You know, they're in a basketball arena. Could that virus, you know, go and grab onto 500 other people, and then, you know, a dad and his kid that are at the game, they go visit their parents and the grandparents, right? And they get it, and then it affects them. Obviously, it's going to affect them differently than like Russell Westbrook or LeBron James, right? So that's kind of the thing about it, you know. And so it's like, you know, the young people, they don't really care, and I'm not going to blame them either, because they're just young, they just want to have fun, and it's the summer, they want to go out and just live like they normally would and not compromise their lifestyle, because it doesn't affect them directly. And I think we know from life, if something doesn't affect you but it possibly could affect other people, you probably don't really care about it too much, because it's like, well, you know, I don't really care, you know, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and I don't really give a shit about you, right? That's the reality of the situation. Now, people might say stuff differently, but that's the reality, right? People think about how stuff impacts them, and typically them only. You know, you're not going to go out to the beach when there's a guy that's, you know, has a gun and he's killing people, but when there's a silent virus that probably won't hurt you, you know, you're probably going to say, ah, it's fine, I'll go, you know. So it's just it's just human nature, really. I mean, a good example is my brother got his car stolen a year and a half ago, I want to say. A year and a half ago. He bought just a little CRX, Honda CRX, just a little, you know, 5-speed car to just kind of poke around on, you know, cheap, $2 grand or $1,500, I think he paid for it, or I think it was right $2 grand. Just a cheap car, has, you know, high miles. It had like 250,000 miles or something, maybe even more. But it was a 5-speed, and so he, you know, he knows how to drive stick, and just kind of enjoyed putting the car around and taking it to work as just a little commuter. It got like 50 miles a gallon, right? Anyways, he's out to dinner with his girlfriend down kind of in a sketchy area, but it's just a mall. But that area is not known for being very it's known for being, there's just kind of a lot of crime down there. Anyways, his car gets stolen when he's at the movies with his girlfriend, and so he's out his car, right? He's like, "Where's my car?" Well, it's gone. Your car's not here. So I think they had to get an Uber. Maybe I picked him up. I don't quite remember. Anyways, he's out his car, right? So now he calls the police, you know, files a report, you know, hey, my car's, I think it got stolen. I parked it at the South Center Mall down in, you know, where, Tukwila, Washington, and it's gone. So, okay, you know, we get reports like this all the time, right? No big deal. We're gonna look for it. And so they end up finding the car like in a day, and that's pretty much what they said was most of the time, like 95% of the time, we find the car, you know, just kind of abandoned, like within 24 hours. The other 5% of the time, we don't find the car, or it's like fucking burned, right? Like someone vandalized the car, and once they had their fun with it, they destroyed it. That wasn't the case. They joyrode, you know, they didn't have any, I don't think they had any money really. They joyrode the car from Tukwila to Everett, so I don't know, is that like 60 miles or something like that? And or maybe less, I don't know. But they, you know, they were smoking pot and smoking swishers in there, and I think they went to Taco Bell, and they just, you know, they left the car a fucking mess. Didn't care at all. The gas was completely on empty. It smelled like shit. There was garbage all over the place. Like I said, wrappers of Swisher Sweets, and just disgusting, right? But anyway, they found the car, and they called him the next morning. Hey, we found your car, you know, he basically said it was okay for them to tow it, because they called me and said, hey, look, if we find your car and it's in the middle of the freeway or something, you know, we do need your permission to just be able to call the towing company and get it out of there. And so what are you going to say in that situation? You're like, okay, sure, you know, because you just want your car back, right? So they do that. They found his car in a mall up at the Everett Mall, I guess. I'm not too familiar with it, but they found his car up there, and so they towed it to they call the towing company, they tow it to their lot. So we have to go to the towing company, you know, later that day. This is 45 minutes north of where we live, so we're having to do that. It's like $500 for the towing company, right? Because they need to get paid. They're running a business, and so do you think the guy that stole the car is going to pay for that? No, of course not. So he has to pay $500 for that. He's got to go fill up his car. He's got to clean it out. It smells like absolute shit. They didn't steal his computer, right? He had a work computer in there. So I got to applaud them for that. I would have thought they would have just taken everything or destroyed it just because they're pieces of shit. But they didn't do that. They left his work computer there, and that's really all he cared about. He's like, hey, you know, the car is one thing, but I have a bunch of stuff for my job and a bunch of files, and, you know, I would hate to lose all that stuff. That would be very bad, right? So they didn't steal that, and he got that back, which was good. But you just think about it, right? What did those people really want, the guys that stole his car? You know, they were probably teenagers or in their low 20s and just wanted to, you know, they were looking for, they didn't have a car, and they were looking for like an easy target, maybe because they wanted to joyride a car, or maybe because they actually had to be up to Everett and they didn't want to pay the $17 to get an Uber up there. Who really knows, right? But look at the economic damage and just the emotional damage they caused the guy who owned the car, right? Did they think at all about that when they did that? Did they think at all about, hey, I'm gonna be fucking up this guy's entire night. He's gonna have to go call the police. He's gonna have to drive up to find this car abandoned, to find it completely empty with gas, to find it disgusting on the inside. It smells like total garbage. You're gonna have to then, you know, go over to a towing lot and pay those guys $500 and deal with that. And but no, right? They don't. That's human nature. You don't think about, all you think about is, hey, I can steal this car and I can get up to Everett where I need to be. I don't care about the guy whose car I'm stealing. I don't care about the fact that he's going to have to deal with the consequences of this. I just care about me, right? And so that's the very long version of my story of humans. And that's everyone will resort to that if things get bad enough, because it's just a survival type instinct, right? I'll go to your house and I'll steal your food, or I'll, you know, threaten to take your stuff, or actually take your stuff and maybe hurt you if I have to, because you know, we revert back to animals, right? There's no longer a sense of like ownership of anything. It's just like every man for himself, because there's no longer a system of law, right? You're not going to be punished for doing anything bad. Hey, all the grocery stores are out of food. There's no way for me to get, you know, the stuff I need, even if I have money, right? It's like money's no longer worth anything because there's no system. You know, you can't. Money is only good if it spends, right? You know, would you rather have a car or would you rather have $100,000? If $100,000 can't buy you anything, you'd rather have a car, obviously, right? Or you'd rather have a gun. You know, tools are worth a lot more if the money collapses and it isn't worth anything. People aren't going to give you food for money if there's no food, right? If there's a very low amount of food, they're going to say, well, I'm not going to give you the food. I don't care about your money because I need food, right? And I can't take your money and buy food with it because there's a shortage of food, right? We had some sort of disease going around and now we can't grow the same amount of food, and so food becomes, you know, a lot more valuable, right? So that's, oh shit. So that's the thing, right? And that's, you know, if things really go to hell, it's not, money no longer is important, right? It's, you know, do you have enough ammunition to fend for yourself, and do you have enough food to survive, right? That's, and toilet paper, right? That's another thing I didn't quite understand. I mean, I'm not gonna die if I don't have toilet paper. I just find that so funny that people were stocking up on that. But, you know, I don't know. People are kind of crazy. Anyways, like I said, it's kind of hard to just continuously talk to yourself with no one talking back. I hope this video is going. It's hard to tell if it is without kind of looking at the camera. I did have to jerry rig up my camera to my helmet, so hopefully everything's staying in place and doesn't look too fucked up.